We have necromancers, pirates, fairies, and vampires. Isn't it time for a werewolf Warframe? That question in the recent Warframe survey is one that has got the Warframe community in a bit of a tizzy. Excitement has exploded. But is that question a hint towards what the next Warframe might be, or was it just added as a bit of fun by whoever made the survey? I'm guessing fun, but they have said we will know more about what the newest Warframe will be next month in the dev stream at the end of February, but this survey was made in collaboration with Digital Extremes and an outside source, so again, I'm not entirely sure we'll see a werewolf themed Warframe, but maybe that's just me really trying hard not to get myself hyped up in order to get let down. That doesn't mean I can't hope for a werewolf themed frame at the same time, one that has decent lore, a decent quest, base it around the shape-shifting killer like the bedbug werewolf, or the Volsung saga and the two magical wolf skins, or Lycan in the Greek mythology who angered Zeus as much as he did. Give us a bestial tank that is really hard to kill like werewolves are supposed to be, or one that can spread the werewolf virus when biting everything around him, that gives you a little bit of a pack or thralls or minions that will fight beside you. That's kind of what I would envision as a werewolf themed frame. Now there is a very long list of incredible community created werewolf concept frames over the last few years that have made their way into, I guess, forums and Reddit and so on. But the problem with them being community made normally means that you can forget about them making their way into the game, with one of the, I guess, solo exceptions being Liger Inuzuka's Wraith frame turning into Sevagoth and eventually making its way into the game. But I would love to see some of these, or at least maybe one of them, at least given a little bit of a chance, even if the developers had to alter it a little bit. So let's take a look at some of them. Links to all of these concepts are in this video's description. Now I have saved the very best one until last, so make sure and stay till the end of the video. Also, apologies for my voice, I am coming down with a chesty cold, so hopefully I don't sound too bad. First up, this is Furion by Demon Star. Now this first showed up back in 2015, right after Warframe's release. It is an infested werewolf designed with the infested chargers in mind, which would definitely fit in-game. An experiment that turned into an alpha charger at the hands of the Orokin does sound cool. One that would run on all fours. It was an incredible concept at the time, but when you read the abilities now, I'm not sure he would fit what the game has evolved into. High base health, high armor with no shields, but also all of his abilities pretty much only function when he was in the wolf form on all fours. Running on ceilings or walls, leaping on targets and biting them, devouring bodies to gain temporary shield and increase his evolution stacks, which would then give him increased stats. So he's a Warframe that would heavily depend on abilities above everything else. And like I said, back in 2015, this was such a cool concept, but the game has changed a lot in that time, and now spreading elements to increase damage and shield gating plays such a huge part in the game that I'm not sure this one would actually work, but visually he looks absolutely stunning. Then we have Frackie by Nenny V, another shape-shifting werewolf that runs on all fours, a werewolf that gives damage resistance to himself and teammates, the ability to see heat signatures through walls, so kind of inbuilt wall hacks, speed increase, and the ability to turn into a beast with viral claws for rending enemies. He sounds cool, right? But the idea of having two abilities that center around removing resistances to elements and things like that doesn't exactly excite me a whole lot, but let me know what you think. Now this is Lycan, which first appeared in 2018 by Elias Drid, a werewolf concept that can leap on enemies, knock them down, can mark enemies, reducing their accuracy and increasing the damage that they take, while also allowing that mark to spread to nearby enemies. He also has an ability called Full Moon, which, contrary to belief, isn't you bearing your arse, okay? It's where it sheds off all armor and metal plates of the suit, and then goes into a kind of Valkyr Berserker state where taking damage will heal you instead and heal nearby teammates as well. Now his ultimate ability summons Spectral Kubros. Their health drains in a similar way to Necros' Shadows, but can also be healed by your Full Moon ability as well. So the abilities on this kind of concept seems really in line with what I would want from a werewolf frame, but has low health, low armor and low energy amounts for a frame that has energy draining abilities. But again, let me know in the comment section below what you think of Lycan. Next up we have Timber by Kabiru, which honestly is a really nice theme. It is a werewolf themed around Native American totems, and it first showed up in 2018. It is a really nice idea, I really like the colours. This concept has the ability to ram enemies with its head, cloak enemies in mist, which makes him take aggro instead, so he is a tank. And he also has his War Paint ability, which seems to work in a very similar vein to Rhino's Iron Skin, and he has a Blood Rain ability that will give you a heal over time to anyone caught inside it. So Timber, I guess, would be a support-based Warframe, but seems to have similar abilities to other frames in-game as well, but I do really like the theme. I do really like the colours and the aesthetics of it as well. Which leaves us with the most recent werewolf concept to show up within the community. This is Fenrir by Anson. This was shown off in August last year, and it is easily one of the most visually appealing concepts that I have seen within the community so far. One that unfortunately right now doesn't seem to have any concept abilities tied to them, abilities that I think are still being worked on. But as far as visuals go, I can definitely see something like this being added quicker than a Warframe that would be on all fours, simply because having to make a new skeleton for a four-legged Warframe might just take up way too much time and might be too awkward for the developers. Grendel, I believe, was the last Warframe, or maybe the only frame in the game, to get a special skeleton rigged just for him. But everything about Fenrir, from his normal form to his werewolf form, just speaks of just bestial kind of rage, a bloodthirsty hunter hiding within another form. I love the size of the claws on each of his hands as well, and how jagged his metamorphosis is once he turns into that werewolf. But let me know in the comment section below, where do you stand on the possibility of them finally introducing a werewolf-themed Warframe? Like I said, all of these frames are linked in this video's description. Make sure and go and check them out. A huge thank you to all of these artists for pushing this idea as brilliantly as they have over the last few years, and to keep the idea of a werewolf-themed frame within the community's, I guess, mindset, something that we actually want. And whether or not the question in the survey is, I guess, hinting towards something that is on the way or not, maybe it was just a cheeky question by whoever made the actual survey, it doesn't really matter. This is a theme that the Warframe community has been pushing for years, so it is definitely something that they want. So I think maybe it would be a good idea for the developers to put something like this in the game, something that has generated such a huge amount of a following. But maybe the frame we're going to see at the end of February is going to be tied into the new war, or what's going to happen next with the new war, and it's going to lead us towards the Viri. If that's the case, then I'm quite happy with that as well. But I would like, at some point in my Warframe playing history, to have a werewolf themed frame, and I'm sure a lot of you guys would as well. Have a great day, and as always, thanks very much for watching.